Welcome back
Hello.
to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi,
Beth, Eve.
and this is a podcast about anything having to do with strings, like thread, yarn, needles, and sticks, like knitting needles and cross-stitch needles and crochet hooks
and paintbrushes.
Paintbrushes.
But I haven't painted in a while.
So we're glad you're back. Welcome to our new subscribers, and thanks for doing that. And we're just going to hang out and talk about our stuff and do a little bit of work. So I'll go first. I just finished this yesterday. This is a new spin I just did of hand spun yarn. This is 100% blue face Leicester. It's heathered blue face Leicester, which means it has some gray fibers in it that didn't take the colors. So it's this beautiful grayish blue. This is going to be up on the Etsy shop. It hasn't had its bath yet. Once I put it in the water to soak, it'll poof up nicely, I think. So this is going to be on the Etsy shop. This colorway is from Quill and Fiber Arts in New Mexico, and this colorway is called Water Song. And I have another 4 ounces I'm also going to spin. This is just blue face Leicester. It doesn't have any of the gray in it. And I'm going to be spinning this up. It's also called Water Song. So this is the same colorway. So that'll be going. This one should be up soon, and then this one after it. But that's my latest creation. I've been spinning really small, like fingering weight yarn. And this one is a DK, really nice DK 3-ply yarn. Because I need to start trying to spin a little bit thicker. This is about 166 yards approximately. So I got that there. And if you wonder what I'm wearing on my wrist, I think I told you guys some time ago that I got all the wool from this beautiful sheep, Jacob sheep called Naomi, my namesake. Not really my namesake, but we're just kindred spirits. She used to live in Colorado, and now her herd has moved up to Utah or something. And so it was the last year that we could get her wool. And she's this beautiful, like almost gray, brown, nearly black. I don't know what to call her. But since we shared a name, I decided to buy all of her fleece last spring. So I want to make a coat that I've seen. It's called a knit swirl. It's knit from the outside in a swirl, and then you make sleeves on it, and then it's just one seam. It's really a cool pattern. But I was like, I'm not sure, because this isn't super soft merino. It's not soft and silky like alpaca or anything. It's nice springy wool. You can see how much crimp it has.
I have a question about your patterns.
Yes.
So, do you have favorite designers of patterns, or do you just see something and you like it?
I really like Casapinka. I really like her stuff, but there's just so many, and Andrea Mowry. There's so many out there that I search for maybe like what kind of yarn I have. Like I have a yarn I want to use, and in Ravelry you can search by weight and even yardage, and and so I found a lot of different ones. I haven't really settled on anybody yet that I super want to make everything they make. But this particular design, this is a whole book of these knit swirl sweaters, and they take people like a year, because you start out with like 2,000 stitches or something crazy like that around the outside of the swirl, and you're just going in basically a spiral towards the center. So it takes forever.
What a time commitment.
Yeah, it's crazy. But so anyway, I had some of her wool from a couple of years ago, and I spun it up with an idea. I was really learning to spin at that time, and I just spun a 2-ply, about DK weight, and so I decided I don't know if this is something I want to wear as an actual garment. And, what I wanted to do with this wool, I wasn't really sure. So I made, this is a little tiny swatch of the pattern is made in like, it's called welts. So it's like knit and pearls and knits and pearls and knits and pearls. And it's like a giant rib, but it makes this sort of, it looks like this, you know. And this is what the coat's made out of. And so I made this little swatch, and at first I stuck it under my collar here to see if it would irritate me, and it didn't. And then I decided today to wear it on my wrist like this to see if it bothered me. I wore it on this for hours, and then I wore it on my other wrist, and we went to Home Depot, and I was shopping with this weird thing on my wrist, and it didn't bother me. And I think I'm not going to be wearing it like next to my skin or anything like a shirt. So I think it'll be nice. I think it'll be nice and warm. It's just an open coat, so it won't be too hot, I think, for Arizona. It's not like a pullover. So I'm thinking about doing that. So I've been wearing this little swatch, and my idea is, this is her herd mate, Esau, another one from the same herd. And you see how this one is light. It's like, let's see on the plastic. Sorry for the plastic noise. But it's got variegations of grays and darks, light gray. And, I guess I'm going to take it out of this package. And I'm going to do, I have two of these. Oh, there it is. Look how beautiful. I have only two of these. And so I think what I'm going to do is make this the outer edge. So then it would be on the edge of the lapel, and then down and around the back of the jacket would be this color. And then have the main body be this one. So that's my idea for the next, maybe sometime in 2022 I'll wear it to our videos. I don't know, but there's Esau. Look at him.
It might end up being like Eli's sweater.
No, shh. Look, there's Esau. Isn't he beautiful? With a big old. Jacob's sheep have two sets of horns. Isn't that interesting?
Let me see his picture.
He's got horns down here on his face, and then two big ones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the females have horns too, I think. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But, so that's my spinning plans.
Well, we appreciate your guys' nice comments. It's
Yeah.
really nice to...
Please comment. We like that. So, the last day, almost the last day of Finish It February, I have finished
Nothing.
except the dress. I'm happy news. You saw it last week. I put a picture up of the dress. I got it finished because Eve had the genius notion of doing. She said stitch witchery, but I found heat and bond hem tape worked better because the stitch witchery wanted steam, and I couldn't do steam on the velvet. So I used what did I just say? Heat and bond.
Well, I just thought you won't have to poke any holes in it with that.
Yeah. So I called Hannah and I said, I'm gluing this dress together, baby. You gotta have glue. And she's like, that's fair. It's dry clean only anyway. So, I mean, and the hem tape, it's permanent. It did go through in a couple places because the lining was very thin, but not anywhere on the outside. And I was hemming that dress until 4 a.m. because so we recorded last week in the morning.
Yeah.
And I had some stuff to do. And we had dinner with my sister-in-law. And then, so I started working on the hem that night. And I did the lining first. And then I started doing, and that's a normal skirt. And then I started doing the outer skirt. And I'm ironing it. I'm ironing the length of the hem, right? And I'm ironing and ironing and ironing, and I turn the dress and iron. And I'm like, oh, this must be the end. And I look down under the ironing board, and there's still like 3/4 of the dress, and I'm like, how big is this skirt? But anyway, it took me all night, but I got that all hemmed, and I think it looks okay. And so I had to mail it to her, to Boston. And I'm like, I am not going to fold this up and put it and crease it all to heck. So I put it, she had a big dress from Dillard's, and I it had a long plastic, super extra long plastic cover. So I took the plastic off the other dress and put it over the new one, and we laid it on the table, and I stuffed it full of plastic grocery bags, so that it wouldn't be get totally wrinkled. And I don't know, because it was still so much skirt, and that bag was pretty narrow, and I'm like, oh. So, and then I put it in a box and basically folded it so it looked like a body in there, and sent it off. So she should be getting it this week.
You'll find out how wrinkled it is.
How wrinkled it is, and if it fits. So that was my dress adventure. So I did finish that, but I didn't finish any of my knitting. So I am going to sit here and work on my son's sweater. He chastised me again. So I'm going to try to work on it and get it prioritized.
The weather is getting warmer.
I know. So. It'll be ready in time for summer.
Yeah.
And in case you wonder, the reason I work on this mostly during these videos is that all my patterns, like for my sister-in-law's stuff and that kind of thing, are on that iPad that we're recording on. So I can't use my Knit Companion patterns while I'm...
Every time you say Knit Companion, all I can think of is that line from that Woody Allen movie Radio Days. The rabbi chastises the young boy because I think he had gone like collecting money for, I don't know if it was for UNICEF or for something to do with the war, because it takes place during World War II, and but he kept the money for himself, and so he got found out. Oh, I think he was collecting funds for some Jewish charity. That's what it was, for Jewish children, something like that. And then he and his friends ended up keeping the money for themselves. And so he got in trouble with the rabbi and with his parents and everything. And so the rabbi was scolding him or something, and his parents were there, and he said something about, he quoted some line from the radio, and he told the rabbi, "You speak the truth, my faithful companion," or something like that. And so the rabbi, was like, "You call me faithful companion?" And just like, smacking him around or whatever. And so that's what I always think of when you say knitting companion. Knit companion.
Well, yeah.
Faithful companion.
As you remember last week, I was asking her about that, and here it is on my, oops. On my,
on her tablet.
On my tablet, and I love it. Because
that way you can see what you're doing.
It's lit up from behind, so it makes it even easier. And I don't have to keep track of random sheets of paper. And I'm like going next to understand why this is so, and to tell you a story that happened. This is one of the bags that I make. This one's all wrinkly and everything because I took it when I went to go get tested I went to get a chest x-ray at the hospital, and I was there with it at the hospital, and I was like, that thing's going in the laundry. So it's all washed, and I didn't bother ironing it again. But I was sitting on the couch, and I got I have notions pouches that I make that goes with each one of these things. And this is this one, because it matches the bag. And I have all my various threads and stuff in here. It fits a lot of stuff, right? And I wanted another thread off of one of the bobbins that was in there. And so I opened this up and I put this on my lap, got the thread, and it was morning, so I had a blanket over my lap. And I got the thread out, and I normally stick it back in. And that day, I must have left it on my lap. But then it got warm, as it does here, very early. And so I took the blanket off, and my habit is to just throw it over the back of the couch. And then when I wanted another thread, I couldn't find it. I'm looking through this bag, and I you know, and I have other projects in here, and you know, just it's a giant bag, right? Huge bag. So I'm looking through there. Okay, I can't find it. So then I get my other one, another one that I have that's the same size, and I look all through there, and I can't find it. And
what are you looking for? The bobbin?
no, the
Notions pouch.
this notions pouch, right? And I couldn't find it. And I get to the third one, which is a smaller one and has a vinyl front. Go through everything in there. That one has less stuff in it because it's smaller. Can't find it. I'm like, oh. So I get this original one again, and I carefully pull out everything, and it's not there. And I'm like, it must be on the
hate
couch.
that feeling.
So I get up, and I'm, you know, looking and going in between the couch cushions, and the dog is looking at me like, what the heck are you doing? And I can't find it. Finally, I said, well, I threw the blanket on the back of the couch. I walk around the couch, and sure enough, it's on the floor behind the couch. I had spent like 20 minutes, 30 minutes looking for it, and it was, you know, because I threw it over the back. But I love the fact that I don't have to keep track of a whole bunch of different pieces of paper. I don't have to waste ink, printing paper, you know, and it's all there organized for me when I need it. And
The only thing about Knit Companion is that versus paper is that paper doesn't run out of battery.
Yeah.
And so sometimes old school is best, and for situations like this where you know you want to maybe use it in a different situation. But I love it, and I can't live without it because I can zoom in, it remembers right where I am. I don't have to mark it up, and
yeah,
I
and
really
and
like
it has that a bar that you can
highlighter
bring down.
bar. Yep.
By the way,
For cross stitch, yeah.
I'm working on the Candy Heart.
The light's
Watch
weird.
my needle.
Oh,
The Candy Heart chart
purple.
from Fat Quarter Shop, and I finished this one because this one went into timeout.
This is so cute.
That's
Pete
Pete
from-
by Stitching with the Housewives,
Yeah.
That's so cute.
and I made a new needle minder.
She did put some back stitching around that.
This is cute.
Yeah, I backstitched. The backstitching isn't on the pattern, but so that the thing would
You can
pop
see
out.
it. It's
Can you see it?
there?
It's got a big silver
Big silver
sea turtle, and then those are carved sea turtles. And I'm gonna make after I've been stitching for about half an hour, I'll switch. But I'm gonna make these with the turquoise version.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been up to.
We do scissor fob.
Oh yeah, I've been crying for a scissor fob, so Beth finally made me one. And this is, it's like little bubbles and
There's a fish.
a little
Lawrence
fish.
Fishburne.
It looks like my fish, Lawrence Fishburne. I have a beta named Lawrence Fishburne. So that's, and I like these little white beads. They look like bubbles. So cute.
Yeah, Beth, when she designs scissor fobs, are really nice. She doesn't do it often enough. She loves the beads. She buys all kinds of beautiful beads. But, you know, yesterday day before yesterday. Was it yesterday? You were designing all kinds of scissor fobs. And,
I've never had a scissor fob,
yeah.
so I'm looking forward to putting that on and using it.
Yeah, it was the day before yesterday because yesterday was when we went to Hobby Lobby. We were there for about 2 hours basically, and I don't know about you. You spent a reasonable amount of money. I spent a crap ton of money just buying because I kept, well, I want these, well, I want these, I want these, I want it, and
I spent it all at Home Depot today, so that's what I did. No, you know what? I got so exhausted. I don't know if it was emotionally exhausted or physically exhausted or both. Yeah. I was having a hard time.
I got physically exhausted because I came home and I almost didn't stitch. I did some stitching late at night, finally, because I almost took a past day yesterday because I was so tired, and part of it was that using that wheelchair. So when I first had brain surgery, and I had a stroke during surgery, so I went from the hospital part of the hospital to the rehab unit of the hospital, and but so I had been in the ICU area for a while, and then before I went to the rehab, and I guess the next full day that I was at the rehab, some of the nurses had arranged for 4 or 5 of us, I guess, to go to Starbucks. There was a Starbucks in the lobby of the hospital.
Far away. It was attached, but it was far.
Yeah. So we had wheelchairs for most of us. There was one guy that was walking, but the rest of us were in wheelchairs. But there weren't quite enough nurses really to push all the wheelchairs. They had one handle and one handle, 2 chairs or whatever. But so at first I said, oh, I can push myself. I can wheel myself. So I grabbed the wheel, and because of the stroke, it affected the right side of my body, and this arm, my right arm, was just weak. I was pushing the chair, and it's like my arm really hurt. I could barely do it. So, and I ended up, having to have someone push me. And so I was a little concerned because at Hobby Lobby, they don't have those electronic carts, that they have at the grocery store or whatever. But they do have a wheelchair at this particular Hobby Lobby. They have one wheelchair with a little shopping basket on top of it. So I thought, well, because I hurt my leg the other day, a couple of weeks ago now, 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So I was concerned that I wouldn't really be able to walk around the store very much because of my leg. And so I got the wheelchair.
I even asked her if she needed me to push her again, and I pushed her around Joanne's. It's only been about 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been the 11th was when I did it, before Valentine's Day, because it was the 15th that I went to the ER, and the 23rd before I saw Dr. Dada.
Yeah.
So so it's been a while.
I am so mad. I'm sorry to interrupt you. This. Can you see?
Yeah.
There's a ply that's broken on this part of the thread, a yarn. So see how thin and icky it is right there?
Of course.
So I'm going to have to cut it and restart it.
But so anyway, so
and this is
at Hobby Lobby, I pushed myself in that wheelchair for 2 hours, basically, that we were at the store.
We were there a long time.
And
yeah,
it was pretty exhausting. As a matter of fact,
don't be at Hobby Lobby for 2 hours. You spend too much money.
I had thought that today that I would be sore. My arms would be sore or something, and I can kind of feel a little bit in my right arm, but
not too bad.
But it wasn't too bad. But so Friday, I was exhausted Friday night, and I just laid there and in the bed, and I was kind of trying to play a little Candy Crush, a little Diggy's Adventure, whatever, and I kept falling asleep.
Wait, that is Friday. We went Friday.
Yeah, we went Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah, because I was having a bad day yesterday. Really awful.
So anyway, so we were at Hobby Lobby quite a while, And I bought a bunch of beads and a bunch of charms and whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so I barely did any stitching. Like late at night, I almost didn't do any. But I did it stitched on Travel Owl, which I've been neglecting. But I am doing it. I am working on it. But today I'm working on this blessed pattern. I don't want to get it too close because I don't have a picture of it. I just have the pattern itself.
Oh, okay.
But I designed that to honor my mother. But anyway, so I don't know if I had this done last week, but I finished the border, and I did the word comforted twice because I did it all the way up to the T. I think I was just starting the T, and I was looking at a pattern, and I thought, well, I put an extra space here after the T, between the T and the E. And I thought, well, I don't think I want to do that. And so I was looking at it, and so I changed it, but that meant because I wanted it to be centered, that I had to move it over. And so I took the whole thing out and restitched it again. And one thing I hadn't done, I realized that the pattern didn't have these little serifs at the end of the D, like they do up here. And so I thought, well, I want this D to be the same as this D, so it's like one stitch off of being centered or whatever. But I wanted to add those on there. But anyway, so I stitched this basically the whole word twice, or almost all of it twice.
Anything worth doing is worth doing over.
But so now I'm working on the grass here that goes under this weeping willow. So I'm working on the grass now, and it's nice because I have to count a little bit to where it's like uneven on the bottom, but otherwise it's basically just back and forth. But I had mentioned this a little bit on my regular update about this the when you came over the other day and helped me by changing the litter boxes and opened the window, right? And so that night, I was lying in bed. It was pretty late, and I was hearing this, whoo, whoo, whoo.
Really? It was
and
doves?
At first, yeah, it was a dove. It sounded like it was maybe on the roof next door or somewhere, something like that. But then, like off in the distance, there was another dove that answered him. Ooh, 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 answered back. And so
to me, that's the sound of Arizona. I remember that. They're really ground doves actually, but the sound of them is what I remember in our very first apartment when we very first moved here in 1992. Because I don't remember. I remember thinking I've never heard that sound before.
Yeah.
I know there's doves in New Mexico, but I think just it was so different. I don't know. It's different here.
Yeah, but so the last several nights, that dove is out there. And I haven't heard the other dove come, responding to it. So I always think of it as the loneliest dove in the world.
Aww.
But the sands of Iwo Jima that I showed you.
Yes.
I always refer to the spray of cat litter on the floor as the sands of Iwo Jima. And for those of you who don't know, if you're too young to know the sands of Iwo Jima, it's an old John Wayne movie about Marines or whatever during World War II. It takes place during World War II, and it's called The Sands of Iwo Jima. And so I always jokingly referred to that as
Yeah, I was mad because she sent me a picture. They'd kicked all the litter out. It was like, all my work.
Well, what it was
all my
though,
hard work.
what it was is that
Destroyed.
is that I had barely had any litter when you came and did it, so there was just barely enough in there to use. So I had to go to Walmart anyway. So I was gonna get this cat litter, and the litter that I use is called World's Best Cat Litter. And
Can I interrupt you with a story about that?
Mm-hmm.
We used to use that litter.
Yeah.
And it's made out of corn.
Mm-hmm.
Corn.
Cobs or something. Yeah.
And in our house, our house is made in the 80s, and you know how you get little tiny cracks or like even through the windows, whatever. Anyway, one day we walked into our bathroom and there was a line of ants from like the window area or under the shower, something, a little crack, and all the way into the litter box and out of the litter box. And they were taking that litter because they liked the corn, I guess.
I know. I remember that story.
We've never used it since.
I remember that story, but and I was always afraid of that, but
Yeah.
I never had that problem ever.
Well, just wait. They're going to find it one day. You'll see.
But anyway, so I had just a little scrim of cat litter in those. I have 2 cats and I have 2 cat boxes, and I was a little worried about Puck because he's very particular about the cat box. but so at Walmart they didn't have any of this world's best cat litter, and I thought, I can't really afford to go anywhere else because I don't have enough to have it in the litter box. But at the store they had that lightweight Tidy Cats, and I thought, well, that that'll work, at least once, and whatever. And so what I did was I dumped all the litter from the pee box because Puck only pees in one and poops in the other.
This is embarrassing.
So anyway, I dumped all the litter from one box into the other. And then I used that Tidy Cats in the other box. And then, so later on, Puck went absolutely crazy. So he was playing in the litter box, and he was like running around, turning around like this, and jumping out, and he had crazy eyes and airplane ears and jumping around, and then he would go and he would like dig out litter out of the box, and then he would run around, and I was like, what is wrong with you? And he, and he had like cat litter, like, in his eyes and stuff like that. I was like, what is going on? And he was just like,
maybe he was drugged.
And when I specifically chose this unscented kind, right?
Yeah.
And he just was going crazy.
The reason I say that is because when we brought our kittens home from their neutering, we didn't do like the newsprint litter or anything like that because they were little babies and it's fine. But they came home and they came out of their
the carrier.
The carrier. I don't think we had cones on them yet because they said you don't have to put them on if you don't, unless you need to or whatever. So we were just kind of letting them be. But Calvin went nuts like that, drugged up because they were still like should have been groggy kind of thing, and instead he got wired and he went into the litter box and he was doing that, rolling around. I'm like, you're gonna get litter in your incision, And he was insane like that, crazy.
And well, then when
in the litter box
later on, I went to to check on it, and there was litter sprayed on the sides, all across the floor. I was like, trying to sweep it up and scoop it up. It was like I'm stepping on cat litter everywhere,
Oh, jeez.
And it was like clean litter because neither of them had even used it yet, and it was just everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like. And yeah, like,
he was probably like, "Yay, I like this kind. Mom finally got the kind I like. This is the kind of my litter of my youth. When I was a kitten, I used to have this litter."
Actually, I think I've used that World's Best. I think that's the only litter I've had since I got Puck.
Well, maybe he's been getting emails from his friends that they have lightweight sand, and he wanted lightweight sand.
I used that Tidy Cats. I used some perfumed version of it when I moved out here because I had it in my car. I had one litter box because that was all I had room for in the car when I moved out here, when you and I drove out here, and actually in my apartment here in Little Rock, here in Phoenix, I only had room for one litter box. And so I just had the one, that I bought then. but it was perfume. My car smelled like that
I hate that.
cat litter for I don't know how long.
And it doesn't help the litter smell.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't help
And the,
it
and,
either.
the, ca- and the
Perfume on a
cats
pig.
Well,
and the cats don't really necessarily like it, you know. But so yeah,
let's talk about perfume on a pig. I'm going to tell my husband. One day, he walked by me. I was like, oh, you smell good. Did you take a shower? He goes, no. I just put perfume on the pig.
Well,
Okay.
my son right now, he still can't smell or taste
From COVID?
since he had COVID. And so he'll come up to me and he'll say, do I stink or anything? He takes showers often, but he wants to make sure because he can't tell. And they said, never mind, I'll just put some
Some
cologne
perfume.
or something on. I said, no, you won't. I said, that's putting perfume on a pig. It makes you smell worse. I said, just
Go
no.
take a shower.
I think maybe he wanted me to smell his shirt. You know how guys are always like, is this clean?
Yeah. No.
Just keep the clean clothes in one area, the dirty clothes in another. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. I told him, just spray it with Febreze if you're worried about it. But today even he goes, Mom, I'm not joking. Can you smell? See if I'm okay to go to work. That is probably he's disappointed that he can't smell because my son loves food.
You mean taste?
Taste, yeah, that he can't taste things.
That was weird. I had that symptom, but it only lasted maybe a week.
Yeah, his is still.
It was strange. Such a strange feeling. Honestly.
And like one of his favorite foods always has been tuna. All growing up and everything, and fish of all kinds, but tuna salad, tuna sandwiches, that kind of thing. And we ordered a tuna sub for him at Subway one day, and he's like, Mom, I never realized what a nasty texture tuna has. Because he can't taste it. It's just the textures. And I bought mint Girl Scout cookies. He's like, Mom, I can taste these kind of. Yeah.
It's coming back.
No, it's just
Really?
certain things that are strong like that, like the mint. Yeah,
It'll come back.
it will eventually. Yeah. And if it doesn't, he'll, it's not life-threatening. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, it's like some friends of ours. This one guy had an injury from football. I guess he had like nerve damage, and he still can't taste his whole life. I mean, he can't smell. So because he can't smell, he can't really
Right.
taste things.
Hmm.
And I guess
Well-
the story goes that he had some milk or something had gotten like under his
Ooh.
bed in when he was in college, and he didn't know it. He could not smell the rotten smell.
The other night, last night, Minority Report was on TV, and that reminds me of that. There's a nasty scene in there where he eats something. He gets in the refrigerator. He has had his eyeballs replaced.
Oh,
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And he can't, so he's like blind in this other apartment, and he's staying in the apartment, till he's healed up enough or whatever, and so he has a rope telling him where where the refrigerator is or whatever, and but he puts his hand like on the wrong shelf, and he grabs like something rotten and eats it. It's like so
Ew.
nasty. It's so nasty. But I was gonna say, since I had my surgery, I haven't been able to smell properly.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't affected my sense of taste at all. I can taste everything normally,
Yeah.
Of course, I can't feel one side of my mouth, so I have to eat everything on the other side. Bizarre symptoms.
Well, this has been a strange conversation.
wide-ranging
Cat
strange
litter and smelly
conversation.
things.
I was gonna say I don't know what I'm gonna do for month of March. There's some people are doing March Madness, and so I saw something on Steel City Stitchers. They're a group of 4 cross stitchers, and they're doing this March Madness thing. And I guess there's different ways of approaching it. Like one girl is, they're using that bracket system like that you would typically use for the NCAA tournament, that people do, and so she is putting like however many
Whips.
whips along this, like 8 or whatever, however many. And so then she's stitching on all of them, and then I guess is going to ask people to vote on which one they prefer out of, these two and these two and these two to determine the winner.
Uh-huh.
And then
that's
those
funny.
go to the next bracket. And somebody else, I think one of the other ones in that group is doing it, I think with a decision wheel, app to determine which one is the winner and goes to the next bracket or whatever. So I was wondering about doing something like that, if I have the discipline to do that, or if I just want to, stitch
Just just stitch like a normal.
stitch like a normal person,
Like a normal person in your
like I
life,
normally
like-
do. Something, I don't know.
Okay, so I keep getting distracted. In case you wonder why my eyes keep going over here, there's a recycle bin in the kitchen right there, and there's a bag or something, I don't know, sticking up. But the shape of it, along with something else that's sticking out of there, looks like the ears on Eve's dog. And so I keep thinking she's sitting there looking at us, and I look, no, it's cardboard, and I'm knitting, and I look, no, it's cardboard.
She just now flapped her ears.
I feel like I'm going crazy, but the dog is not actually there. It's recycling.
The reason there's a thing in the recycle bin is it's a paper bag,
Yeah.
and what it is
Yeah.
what it is
Oh my goodness.
a kit. When we went to Joanne's Wednesday
Lobby?
or Thursday,
Oh.
no, before we went to Joanne's. We went to Joanne's. No, it was on Sunday because Hobby Lobby was closed. We went to Joanne's to get something, and when we were going through the checkout, the cashier said, "Oh, do you want this this little kit? It's a kit to make a bouquet." And she
For what?
motioned over there. Was she said there was a picture. Hi, little dog.
See the doggy ears? Put your ears up.
She looks like a piece of cardboard.
Don't you? Put your ears up. No.
No, I don't want to. No.
Normally her
I
ears
don't want
stick
to.
straight up.
But anyway, so
want down?
the cashier, said, "Oh yeah, you can take one of these. They're free. Blah blah blah.
Oh.
You can make these little bouquets." And so I assumed I couldn't really see what she was referring to, and but so yeah, we took the little kit. So what
I
the
looked
heck?
like that. Okay.
And so today, they've been sitting around, So today I thought, well, look at this bag, and so I opened up the bag, and there's some construction paper in there. And I was looking, there's like a activity sheet for kids or whatever included in there. But then there was so I was like, where's the instructions? So because all it was this construction paper. So I thought, do you make it tear it by hand, or do you have to, does it say you need scissors or glue, whatever? So I got the little instruction sheet out, and so it had a list of stuff you'd need. Seeds that are wildflower seeds that are for your region that are not included in the thing.
Okay.
A blender, water, And what I wanted you to do was tear the construction paper into 10-inch
to make a seed strip.
Yeah, to make a
that's
seed
fun.
bouquet. But they wanted you to put the construction paper in the blender.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah. So you make a paste.
Yeah.
And you put the seeds in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the paper, and you plant the paper.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not putting anything like
But
that.
so
in
it's not a bouquet like you would like for your house, decorate your house, which is what I assumed it was.
They should have said,
But-
"Here, get this to make seed paper."
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I
A
don't want to
bouquet,
do
like sometime next year,
that. I don't want to do that.
in a little while.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I want instant gratification.
Well, I wasn't sure I wanted any kind of gratification, actually. I just like,
It's a free
okay,
bag.
go and do this kid.
Well, I used to do
But then I
paper
didn't.
But it didn't even
flowers.
have the seeds in it.
No, it didn't. It was,
Didn't have
it
anything.
didn't have anything. You need a glue stick, and you need this and that and the other. And I was like, well, this isn't a kit. It's just pieces of construction
suggestion.
paper. Yeah. If I wanted to do that, yeah, and you had to, and I think for instructions on do it, you had to go to Joanne.com or whatever.
Oh, brother.
I was like, no, the kit doesn't even come with instructions. You have to go somewhere else
not
to
a
get the
kit.
instructions. It just had it
That's a
had
lot of
it had a
paper.
coupon
Oh, I
to
see.
go to Joanne's,
Oh, funny.
and, but like only to the 22nd or the something. And so not even the coupon was any good.
Yeah.
And then and then the instructions weren't even in the bag. They were, So I was like, yeah, it's not a kit. It's not a bouquet. How to do it yourself kit. It's a
Well, and I was interested in doing that because for 7 years my job was doing different kinds of art stuff with adults with developmental disabilities, and we did all kinds of things. We did any craft. I would go on Pinterest and see anything anybody was making. Is there something fun there for us to do? And then other things. I mean, we would paint and draw and make stuff with palettes and do candles and soap and all kinds of stuff. So I thought, why not? I'll make some paper flowers. I thought they were just paper flowers, but I don't want to grow flowers. My black thumb would sentence them to death.
I wanted to get something. So I got this up here. These are all the needle minders that are in our Etsy shop. You can't really see these fabric ones, but if you go to our Etsy shop, you can get a better look at them. These actually up here are big cat eyes, and we may do something different with those because they're very lightweight, but they're just big. Whoops. And this is a little turquoise nugget kind of thing. And some letters. These are paintings.
These cute little
These down
chickens.
here are cover buttons. There's some elephants up here.
This one's really cute.
These are all like fabric
Strong.
covered buttons. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But anyway, so these are all.
This one's really cute. Look at that
Look at
one.
that one.
It's a little
Little
bee.
bee.
Oh yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah. So anyway, these are all on our Etsy shop. If you want to take a look at what we have available.
Ooh, this one's cool. This looks like from a bandana or something. Or
one of the
snowflake.
fabrics.
They're all fabric. The things that are.
Match. They match.
Oh, they match the bags that you sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all
except
from
for
the bags.
except for the pink ones.
These ones.
Yeah. Now I have
I think those the Paris.
those
the
scooters.
Paris,
Yeah, the Paris things. I have a Paris bag up there that is pink and white, not dark pink like that. But
Yeah, I think we used this fabric to back some of the little pillows that we made. One of the little pillows that we made had this Paris fabric on the back. It's from one of the patterns that we had. There were some, I guess, seasonal patterns. fall,
I think it's
4th
on
of
the.
July, whatever.
I think it's on
you
the
know.
heart one.
Yeah, yeah. And so anyway, that was what that fabric was from. So I just on some of these, I just like did the leftover fabric pieces that we had,
That's cool.
and I made covered buttons magnets from these. So, oops.
I use one of those needle minders on my. I keep a snowman, even though it's not winter.
What were you saying about your needle minder, Eve?
Your
snowman?
I have
Oh,
a
the
snowman
snowman.
needle minder, and I have a.
Well, you have to just pretend it's winter here, even when it's
Even in the winter.
even in the winter.
I have
Yeah.
a flamingo.
Winter
one
was
somewhere.
disappointing this year.
Yeah, it was. There was like only 1 or 2 days of
In
rain.
January,
you know.
in January, we got a day of winter.
Yeah, a day. And I have, as a needle
Usually,
minder, I have this.
here, like in Florida, it's cold, and what we consider cold is definitely not what the rest of the world may consider cold, but to us it's cold, It's 40 degrees cooler than it was before,
Yeah.
And,
Well, like
but when I
tonight-
see all the snow and blizzards and stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
I am so glad.
I don't know how people live in it, honestly. If you live in it, you tell me how.
Because
What is it? Arne and Carlos, these guys in Norway, they say there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad, poor clothing choices or something like that. I'm like, well, that's true. That's true, because we just don't, I mean, I'm sure if you dressed right, any kind of, weather would be okay,
no.
but
I remember.
I
Yeah.
don't know about
Well,
that.
I actually, like the snowy weather in Little Rock because it was very much like Albuquerque. It was on that I-40, line. But the only problem in Arkansas was it was on this diagonal. This diagonal
Yeah,
line
I
would go
remember
through all the time
You're saying.
with storms, tornadoes, and stuff from Texas up into
But even
the
there,
Midwest.
you didn't get real
But-
winter.
No,
Like
but what we
winter.
what we got a lot of were ice storms because
Yeah.
we were right because that diagonal line was the line between all the wet weather down here, the rain and stuff, and all the snow up here,
Yeah.
and so we got ice storms.
Mm-hmm.
And in northwest Arkansas, closer to the Midwest, basically to Missouri and points north and east, they got really bad snow. I remember one winter that northeast area was they didn't have power for days and days and days. And then down here closer to Texas and Louisiana, it was usually wetter weather. And then in Little Rock, we had sort of a mix, and but you would only get a few strong days like that of snow or ice or whatever,
Yeah.
and not have to deal with you wouldn't get feet of snow like some places got. But I know that this winter, my friends were posting pictures of they had 12 or 14 inches of snow. I was like, oh, it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
But,
when I lived in Belgium,
but-
we didn't get 14 inches of snow, but we did get everything frozen, and we, our water froze and our heat, and and I'm having to drag water up from the cellar in order to flush toilets, and I am never gonna live where it snows again. Not like that. I don't see any joy in that now.
I don't mind. I wouldn't mind visiting, but
That being said, visiting snow in small batches can be fun if you're ready for it. Like when we would go home to Albuquerque, I always wished it would snow because it doesn't snow here, But when we drove home from Albuquerque, I didn't want to see snow. And, like that time that we drove through and
our wipers froze.
the wiper stuff
washer fluid
Washer.
froze.
froze, and and of course the street had enough traffic on it that it was slush. The freeway had enough traffic on it that it was slushy, and so it would shove that up on your window and your windshield, and you couldn't get it off.
Yeah, well, it would
froze immediately.
Yeah,
to
it would
the
fly
window.
up on the window and then on the windshield and then partly dry because of the dry wind, and
So then you try to wash your
yeah, and then it would
Wash
just
the dirt
smear,
off.
and you couldn't see at all. It was like a
You're
smear
sticking
of
your head out the window going,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
can't
then
see the road.
yeah, so we couldn't clean the windshield, we couldn't wipe it down, and then the washer fluid froze, which is not supposed to freeze.
I remember
was
we
cold.
had to stop at a gas station and
They
clean
were
the windows
selling
off
gallons of windshield wiper fluid for people to be
Yeah.
able to clean their windshields.
It was pretty scary to not be able to see anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so like we had an interim pastor, and he used to always say, "You don't have to shovel warm."
Yeah.
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 And I know that people are suffering. I'm not trying to make light of their suffering. And I'm sure that they live in climates that they love as much as we love this climate. But man, I just can't.
Well, I
do
feel
it
bad for
anymore.
Texas. I mean, that's what would happen here if suddenly it snowed like that here,
Yeah.
because they're just not used to that. I couldn't believe it.
Well, do you remember
their whole
that
thing
when it
collapsed.
snowed in Scottsdale?
Yeah.
It wasn't even bad. It was cold here, but it wasn't even bad.
I have a picture of the saguaro cactuses. Those are those big cactuses that have arms with a little tiny cone of snow like this on top.
and
so
people
funny.
were stopping on the freeway to take pictures of the mountain with snow because it doesn't snow. And Naomi mentioned the saguaros with their arms like this. Right before we moved here, I came here with my son, and we were driving. There's like an area where it's almost a forest of saguaros, and we were driving through that, and he was maybe 6, maybe,
Yeah, a little like that.
and he goes, "Look, Mom, they're saying I surrender." And now every time I see the saguaros, I think of that.
Yeah.
He used to be funny and
He used
cute.
to be so sweet.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
Now he's not.
Yeah. He's still sweet. Most of the time. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Occasionally.
Once in a while, he really shocks you, like when he was taking care of my parents when they were
Yeah.
sick, and yeah.
No, that wasn't
But-
shocking. It's shocking when he's nice to you. No,
But
but
yeah, it
our
he's a
three,
good
all
guy.
three of the kids. I have 2, and Eve has 1, and all 3 of them are good kids. They're good kids.
not bad.
It always cracks me up because the 3 of them are cousins, right? And when we were kids, we have between both sides of our family, we have like 40 cousins, first cousins. I was watching that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and there's that one scene where she's telling her boyfriend, that she has 25 first cousins or whatever. I'm like, I think I have
That's
that
all?
beat.
Yeah.
I remember hearing her say that and thinking, I think I have more than that.
Yeah.
And I have 20 on one side and 22 or something on the other
Well, and we're
And-
always meeting relatives, even as adults.
that we don't know we're related to.
When my son was 4, I was working in the nursery at church, and I was taking care of an infant there. And the child before that, I kept saying, you sound so much like my cousin, and you look a
The
lot
mom?
like
The
me."
mother, you mean?
The baby's mom.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then she laughed and thought I was silly, and then her son got older, and then she had this other one, and but by that time I had my son, and our older sons, her older son and my son were the same age, and so at Christmas they were doing this Christmas show, Christmas show, kids show, and I was there, and she was there with her son, and my mom came, and her mom came, and they went, "Hi, you know," and I'm like, "You know her?" And they're like, "This is your cousin."
Yeah, and it's like
I was told Eli the other day, I said, you could run over one of your cousins in the street and you wouldn't know it. Like, there's cousins I know, at Mom's funeral, we saw so many. But most of the ones but even then, there's others that I couldn't pick out of a crowd.
Well, I remember.
Moved here.
I
that we don't
remember.
know?
Yeah, I remember. My brother was telling us that he's been in the music business, the music scene in Albuquerque since he was like just out of high school, and so he's always freelance playing piano, keyboards, or whatever, and he also used to work at a music store doing sound setup and stuff like that, running sound for organizations and everything. Anyway, so he knew this guy Rudy. He'd known him for years, and one day he saw him. He went to the a funeral for our cousin Butch. He went there for the funeral, and in the lobby of the funeral home, he ran into Rudy, this guy Rudy, and it's like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Blah blah blah, and so Tim asked him, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Oh, well, this guy that died, Butch, was my cousin. What are you doing here?" And Tim's like, "Butch is my cousin." And so they got to talking, and it turns out Rudy's mother was our cousin Kathy.
Oh.
Aunt Charlotte's daughter. So yeah.
So Butch is Tim's first cousin, but
Yeah.
Rudy's second cousin.
Yeah, Rudy is Tim's first cousin's son. Our first cousin's son.
Doesn't that make him second cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Eve and I met he was our second cousin, my dad's cousin, when we were in junior high at music camp. We had been at music camp all week, and we didn't find out until
He wasn't Dad's cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
First
father.
cousin?
Yeah, his father was brother to Dad's mother. So he and Luther. He and Lemuel are first cousins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Lemuel's just like
Young.
a little bit older than Tim. I think he's 1 year older
Wow.
than Tim. So
Is
yeah.
he the one that's the assistant district attorney or
He's
the
a-
district attorney?
He's district
We have
attorney
friends
for
in high
the
places.
district attorney for
We
the
have family in high
13th
places.
the 13th district in New Mexico.
Yeah, he wanted me to vote for him, and I'm like, I live in a different state.
But I was gonna say.
But yeah.
Yeah,
so-
but our kids, there's just 3 of them, so they don't have a concept of.
It's like my friend Janet, that she and I knew each other in graduate school, and we were talking about like I said I have all these cousins, and she and her brother, and her parents, and she has I think an aunt and uncle, and then a maiden aunt who never married. And so this aunt and uncle, they have like 2 kids, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just she and her brother, and she has 2 cousins. And I'm like, I don't even understand that concept.
That's
because,
how Mark. Yeah, that's how Mark's family
Yeah.
is pretty small. I mean, his parents. They do have a lot of extended family, but in their immediate, there's not very many cousins.
Well, yeah,
So, there's a handful because I guess one of his uncles has 3 kids, 4 kids. Yeah, so it's a handful. But
But our parents grew up in a different era.
yeah.
you know?
So
Yeah.
to explain all this, my mom was one of 11 that lived to adulthood, right?
Yeah,
And
her
Dad was-
aunt, and was it her aunt that died and left children that we don't know where they are?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know. But
Yeah.
But
so she was one of 11 siblings that lived to adulthood, and
out of all of those, most of them
have kids.
had kids. They had at least 1 kid, and some had like my Uncle
Multiple.
Dan had like 5 kids.
Yeah, and we're 4 kids in our family,
Mm-hmm.
and then my dad is one of 9.
I think.
I can't even remember. See, I don't even remember.
Well, there were 1, 2, 3 boys that lived to adulthood, but Uncle
Uncle Joel.
Uncle Amos didn't have any kids.
Amos.
And then
Yeah, 5 girls.
Yeah, and 5
so
girls.
So it's 9. Yeah. So he's one of 9. So, and they all had kids except for
8. Well, 5 and 3 is 8.
Oh.
Actually, there were 9 because there was a boy who died as an infant.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Anyway,
but
big
yeah,
families.
so most of them had kids. My aunt Ruth had like 6 kids.
Yeah.
So there's a whole pack of us.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, that's what I think I've talked about it before. I don't know if I've talked about it here, but that we have my great grandmother's sister had 3 sons, and they lived in this area in the Arizona, Phoenix, Mesa, Litchfield Park area, and they all married, and so I'm assuming they may have probably had, I don't know, I don't have information on their kids, but as far as I know, I assume they probably had at least 1 kid each or whatever, but the sons died in the late 90s, mid 90s or something like that, when you were already out here.
Yeah.
So we may have cousins out here. We just don't know.
We don't know.
Their last name would be McMillan. Well, their father's names were McMillan.
Yeah. Well, I just hope I don't get into a car accident with one of them.
Yeah. We could run over somebody in the street and be related to them and not even know it.
Big families, yeah. It's a shame because I think we've lost touch with a lot of them. And when Mom died, I had a lot of cousins tell me we've been bad cousins, you know. But that's the way it goes, though. You live far away, and
especially now. Well,
and you know
that's why I'm fascinated by shows like Finding Your Roots and things like that, or Who Do You Think You Are, because I kind of know some of our background, but not all of it, and so I'm dying to know like how my great grandmother's father, whose last name was Winship, and there are Winships in the New England area, but he ended up in Mexico and got married down there, and most of them, like my grandmother, was born in Arizona, here in Arizona.
So
I don't know how he got out to the.
If you think you're related to us, let us know. Yeah, it's fascinating.
So yeah, it's and I've done some poking around on the internet.
Esther Pringle did a lot.
Yeah, we have a cousin who's done a lot of
and
we do know her.
Yeah,
and she's done a lot of genealogy and stuff like that for the family. She's kind of the keeper. She's kind of the keeper of my dad's side of the family right now. She kind of is in touch with everybody. Mm-hmm. You know,
she's wonderful. She's been so good to Dad.
Yeah,
and I did a cross stitch piece that I sent to her for Christmas. Mm-hmm. One of the somebody, who was it? Oh, My Big Toe Productions did a little giveaway piece that I guess they were giving it away through cross stitch shops. I placed an order from I placed an order at the Shepherd's Needle in Little Rock, and so when she sent me the things I ordered, she sent me this little freebie called Amazing Grace. It was just a little bitty thing like this, and I had it, and I didn't know, I knew I wanted to stitch it, but I didn't know what for. And my cousin Esther Pringle was talking about her mother. Her mother passed away earlier last year. And so she had written, my mom had written to her, and so she wrote to my mom, and she talked about how her mother had, in the last weeks or months of her life, was always humming or singing or whatever Amazing Grace, and so they played it at her funeral, and so I stitched that for her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they were really just from the time, like when I was in the hospital and with my parents' illness and stuff like that, they were always very thoughtful and
Yeah.
yeah,
She's good people.
yeah.
Uh-oh, you're sneezing.
Excuse me.
That's all about that.
That's how I feel every day with these.
It's-
My allergies are awful. I am on double dose. I take Zyrtec and Pepcid as a blocker, whatever, histamine blocker, twice a day. Even though they're only once a day meds, my allergist told me to take them twice a day, and I'm still itchy eyes and.
Speaking of meds,
Terrible.
Excuse me.
I forgot this morning to take the painkiller medicine that the doctor
I guess
gave
you're
me.
feeling better.
Well, I took like ibuprofen, but the medicine that he gave me is a once a day thing, and so I meant to take it this morning, or but then I ended up doing this and doing that and blah blah, and I thought, oh yeah, I need to take the medicine, and I came out here to do whatever and never went back in my room where the medicine was, and so I just
Well,
I just a minute ago when I was like, oh yeah, I never took that. So I don't want to take it now because
No.
then I can't take it until next evening or
Right.
whatever. So
yeah, just
So,
skip
yeah.
it. It's all right.
yeah.
Well, we better sign off for the
Yes.
day.
This is
And-
what I've been doing.
Oh, what you
I
been
made,
doing?
I made a silver one.
Oh, look at that. That's cute.
A
Little
turquoise and silver.
turquoise turtles. Stop it from swinging.
But
You can see
I
the
realized just now when
Cute.
I was staring at the table, the reason I was staring at the table was I made this one last night, and it's the same thing, but it's with the ivory color. And I'm
Looks good
staring
against my
down at the
shirt.
supplies I had set aside and realized I had intended to make those 4 turtles long.
I think it's a good length.
I like the length, so I don't mind. I'll just be able to make more. I was just, what have I done?
Well, we thank you for joining us for this episode of Sticks and Strings. And if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up and subscribe and hit your notifications so that you won't miss a new episode. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.